This is a cool space. It's called The Warehouse, owned by Bryan Adams, one of the iconic recording studios in Vancouver. And we're here to talk to one of the iconic record producers from the city, Bob Rock. But first, a look at his career in 30 seconds. After a string of Canadian hits with the Payolas in the early 1980s, Winnipeg-born Bob Rock found his greatest success behind the console. As an engineer, he worked the soundboard for some classic 80s albums. And as a producer, he helped create top-selling records by The Cult, Mötley Crüe, and Metallica. Rock's most recent release is a collaboration with Gord Downie. The two friends had been working on songs together on and off before Downie passed away in 2017. It's an album years in the making and very close to rock. Bob Rock, it's such a pleasure to sit down with you. Thanks for doing this.
My pleasure. It's great to meet you. You're quite famous here in Canada.
Yeah, like barely, but that's okay. Let's talk about Lester Parfait and working with Gord Downie. How did that project come about?
I had done two tragically hip albums, World Container and We Are the Same. I had a great experience with them, but Gord and I just became friends and talked about our families, being Canadian, loving hockey, music and stuff. So at the end of the project of We Are the Same, he said, do you have any music that I could maybe write some lyrics to? And so I started sending him tracks. So I sent a couple to him, and he sent something back, and it was amazing. It was like I was floored, to be quite honest.
Adam, your engineer, is here, and we're going to listen to one of the tracks on that album. You chose North Shore. Why?
I think that was the first one that I sent him. It was fully realized, and he sent it back.
So Adam, fire it up.
This would have been kind of what Gord would have written about. You know, he would have gotten that and started writing the lyrics to that. Nothing fancy, just the basic song structure.
We roll by like teen angels, with our heads held so high, and eyes heavenward, we don't care. We held hands between our bikes.
You were saying you don't usually listen to his vocal isolated, so as you listen to it now, what were you thinking?
Well, what I hear is all the beautiful nuances that he brought to the vocal, the performance. But just as a note, one line that sticks out to me is we held a hand between our bikes. You know, that, and this is what was so great about him. He painted a picture. Like, I can see the North Shore when you hear the whole song. You know where it is. No matter where it is, I'm just saying you see the picture of what's happening. It's a man and a woman that connect.
What's the process been like over the last few years?
After he passed away, I really couldn't look at this. I couldn't listen to it. And but someone became interested and maybe wanted to hear it. And Arts and Crafts, the label. And so finally I took a look at it again and I finished it. And when he passed away, and the last time I talked to him, he said, make sure everybody hears this. So I had to do it.
I have done such bad work. I'm greedy for life.
Now, I feel like I'm in a winery talking to an expert, and I'm not, and then I say something about wine. When I listened to Lester Parfait, I was thinking David Bowie. Like, I don't know, like it just sounded kind of like Bowie. I'm getting nothing from you, so I guess I'm alone in this.
No, you're not alone. I mean, Bowie and Mick Ronson in particular, his guitar player, he was a huge influence. He produced two of the Payolas albums, and we became very close friends. So there's a lot of Bowie, the Stones, Lester Parfait. There's definitely a Stones feel. There's horns on there, which is strange, but Yeah, like I said, all the influences. That's why the album's so eclectic in terms of all the different songs.
So let's talk about the payolas for a moment. And for me, my age, I was on the East Coast buying a lot of records, working at a radio station, and I love Eyes of a Stranger. I mean, it's been 40 years. 40 years later, it's one of those songs.
Really?
Isn't it? I think so.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah. I can still listen to that song though, and it doesn't sound, I love it.
A quick story. The song came from Bob Marley album, Natty Dread, and I noticed that they were playing along to a drum machine. So I ended up finding that drum machine, and I was fiddling with it. And I recorded a demo at Little Mountain when I finished the commercial. I think it was Hudson's Bay. We had a bit of tape, so I recorded that with the assistant engineer, the drummer that played on it. And so the whole track was pretty much done. And when Mick Ronson came to hear our demo, all our demos, he said that, I think we can't get better than that, which is really surprising. Most producers would want to re-record it and put their stamp on it. He just heard that it was great as it is. So it's really just a demo.
So as a producer, you've worked on a lot of big albums, including what turned out to be Metallica's greatest selling album. Tell me about that.
When you make a record, you really don't know how it's going to turn out. I think what made it different for me is that they were very opinionated, and it was really hard to do the record. But they challenged me, and I challenged them, and I think we ended up that it wasn't all just happy. We were not fighting, but there was just that edge through the whole project. That ended up being something special. And the thing about that Metallica album in particular, was James started singing rather than yelling. And I think it's his most personal lyric, any record he's made.
And you guys became like not only colleagues, but friends, right?
Eventually, it took a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took a while. I had to prove myself constantly in that album.
Did it sound like Metallica? No, it didn't. It didn't even sound close. The guitars aren't loud enough. I'll let you guys duke it out on this one. I'm tired of arguing.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not. You're not trying to argue.
When I walked in here today, it was everything I hoped it would be in terms of the way it looks, and it seems like an exciting place to be. And I think in the history of music, you hear about people talk about Muscle Shoals or Honky Chateau, or just how records sometimes reflect the sound of the studio they came from. But now we live in this era where Billie Eilish can put together beautiful records that, from what I understand, she just does at home.
I love that!
What do you think of that trend? The fact that people can just not have to come into a room like this and put out a song.
I just believe music, wherever it comes from, it can be live drummer, it can be a drum machine. I've used that. But the point being is that whatever you got to do to make a record, just do it. Whatever inspiration you draw from, it's about inspiration, hard work, and just doing what you do. So she can record it in a living room because that works for her. She makes a great record that way. Not everybody should do that, but it works for her.
And so, Metallica is similar to a lot of the records that you worked on, kind of a certain style.
Yeah.
But a little bit of Bob Rock trivia, and not a trivial point. The two biggest selling albums you worked on are, as I said, Metallica. That won't surprise anybody. But the other one?
Michael Bublé's, the Christmas album.
Yeah.
But I've worked on 4 albums with Michael.
So what's up with that, Bob?
Well, that is the love of making records. Like I said, I liked all kinds of records. People say, what kind of music do you like? I just say good music.
You're very much still in the creative stage of your career. I get that. You're still very active. You clearly love what you're doing. But what do you hope your legacy is in music?
I don't know. I just never really thought about it. I just, it'd be great if somebody liked the records that I made. I'm fine with that. That's it.
That sounds like a good legacy.
Yeah, I'm really blessed that I've made a living, support my family, and I make music. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better life, to be quite honest.
Well, you are widely regarded as one of the best at what you do, and it really has been very cool to sit down and chat with you a little bit. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.